Attention listeners, mark your calendars for Colorado Gives Day on December 10th. Support Aftersight and give to the causes you care about. Go to coloradogivesday.org/organizations/aftersight between now and December 10th to make your donation.
Thank you for listening. My name is Gregory Haddock.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Volunteer Spotlight. I'm your host, Evan Starnes, and I really hope you guys have been enjoying the not quite wintry weirdness that we've been having as of recent. Before I get into the show, there's just one little announcement that I need to make because it's exciting and it's coming up. But Colorado Gives Day is on December 10th, and early giving has started as of November 1st. And so if you want to get in your donation to help support our mission, definitely do so. Go to coloradogivesday.org/organizations/aftersight. Or if you want to donate to any other charitable organizations, it's just coloradogivesday.org. But that'll be coming up on December 10th. And we'll also be having we're still kind of in the planning phases of it. We're going to have a holiday, it's going to be like a live thing, but we're trying to do it a little differently this year because, previous years we've done holiday Facebook Live events and maybe read some fun Christmas stories, and then Brady, our grants manager, will play guitar and stuff. But we want to do something a little bit more interactive and meaningful to you guys, to our audience and our listener base, our volunteers, all of us, And so we're thinking about, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but we might do a play, actually, and that'll be kind of fun. I'll have to get my theatrical skills that I have none of in shape. But this month's Volunteer of the Month is fairly recent, but has been an outstanding and awesome volunteer, and has also, I think, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe has also volunteered for Kuvo, the jazz station here too, I think. I could be wrong there, but with that being said, I'd like to welcome Gregory Haddock under the Volunteer Spotlight. Thank you for joining me, Greg, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much, Evan. I'm humbled and honored to be here. I was not actually a volunteer for the Kuvo Jazz Station, but that sounds like a really neat opportunity.
No, yeah, because I've met a few people that have talked about it. I think I was. I'm pretty sure. I think I was at that same table. Do you remember when we had that big ice cream social a couple of years ago, and we showed the audio described movie and all that?
No, I'm so close to you guys, and I've never made it in for any of those things. I'm so sorry. That's like such a terrible answer.
No, that's fine. Honestly, I mean, we do have events. It's just like, you got busy lives and stuff. It's totally okay. I had just met another Gregory there that sounded similar. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But
I guess I'm one of the doppelgangers, other people would say, but yeah, it's a very doppelganger-y face. So you'll see me around, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, I always like to start these shows off with a few fun little questions to kind of spice the show up and kind of get the ball rolling here. But what's your absolute favorite form of audio content to listen to? The music or audiobooks or podcasts or something else I didn't mention?
I mean, music is incredible, and it just has a way of moving you emotionally in ways that others don't. I do think one of my favorite things, and it's probably not even an audio format. I work in audio full time, and for somebody who's been doing that for so many years, I think video might be my favorite, actually.
Okay, cool.
And really, it's anything. I guess it's a personal mantra, but get your laughs where you can get them. And I really, really enjoy, and there's a lot of great audio formats out there for this, but anything that's just kind of really out of left field for audio content, just kind of bordering on the bizarre, surreal type of, totally unrealistic kind of world map type of thing, Oh,
that's cool, though.
Yeah, so, I think one of my favorite shows of all time might be I Think You Should Leave. And I know that's not for everybody. I get that. But it's just the bizarre kind of format that I love. I love it. It's so weird. I can't help but just be enthralled in it.
I want to check that out. It sounds like a fun title, though.
It's great. Yeah, it's the premise is basically this, whatever situation that, there might be kind of an awkward person in, and then they just like, and ramp it up like 1,000%. And I think you should leave as like whoever that person in the room is at that moment. So again, it's not for everybody, but I do love it.
No, it sounds hilarious. What kind of music do you like to listen to?
I love a lot of indie rock. I guess my stuff is pretty eclectic.
Good stuff.
I'm big fan of hip hop and rap, but I think this last year it's been a Noah Kahn fix for sure. I just adore everything this guy is doing.
I'm gonna check him out. I love indie rock, so any new indie rock I find, I will definitely check out. Because
somebody out there is going to correct me. It's probably more indie folk, or I don't know, but I love it. I love it.
Yeah, indie in general. I feel like indie has kind of a stereotype associated with it, But
yeah.
I think it's an incredible genre, and I'm really glad that it's really come out of the woodwork, especially as of these like just past few years. I feel like people have started to kind of stray away from the mainstream, and started to thanks to like things like Spotify and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, and and I think one of our favorite activities when we get together with friends or families or a long car ride is kind of like a jukebox version. Song game where everybody plays either at home it's a music video, but in the car it's obviously like a song on Spotify. But you go in turns, and if you're with older people and younger people, it's great because you'll get the widest swath of varieties of music.
Absolutely.
Playing with my folks is really fun because you listen to stuff that they listened to when they were kids, and you never heard this song before, but they're singing every word, and you had no idea this song even existed. It's like opening up a whole part of this person that you didn't even know existed.
That's what I love. That's why I always ask anybody and everybody that I can get a word with, like what they listen to, because you never know what you're going to discover, and what you discover is something that has probably been near and dear to them for years and years, and now they're passing that on to you.
Yeah, I think that's why I like that game so much, because people kind of pull these like jokers or these wilds, from deep in their pocket, and like, well, I haven't listened to this song for a long time, but for whatever reason, it's just stuck in their head. And they pull these out, and you're like, some of my favorite songs are things that we learned from doing this game.
I'm gonna have to try that next time, and I'm on a road trip with family, because I think that'd be a lot more fun than just trying to throw in a CD and see, and then just stick with it. But
it's cool because it keeps everybody really like involved, engaged, and invested. You're not listening to like
the radio,
your niece's Taylor Swift mixtape. So the whole time.
Oof. Yeah, I think that would give me a headache after about 2 seconds. But
well, put a couple of those on, it's great. But I can't do 4 hours of it.
Mm-mm. Well, speaking of road trips and kind of getting out there, what's your absolute favorite, especially during this time, favorite outdoor activity to do?
Love camping, anything outdoors for sure. But I mean, primarily camping. When you're in Colorado, everybody thinks, you talk to somebody who's not from Colorado, oh, you must snowboard all the time, you must ski all the time. And for me, it's like, it's such a dangerous activity.
It's fun, but
yeah, it's fun. But I get like a fix for it for every 10 years, and then I'm good. But yeah, I think it's camping, just because it's one of those things where you get out there and it forces you to hurry, and then stop and just kind of be present and do the simplest activities.
Yeah, literally being present in nature with no electrical devices. And
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and really just an opportunity to disconnect from a lot of different things. And nature is amazing.
Nature is amazing. It's a good therapist too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to know first, how did you initially, what made you want to volunteer for your community first? What was your inspiration behind that?
Yeah, I was part of a local radio and podcast, more of kind of a producer group, probably more of a tag along, like a third wheel than anything, kind of an outsider looking in. But
I get that.
Joined this group on numerous occasions, and there was actually somebody there from a local radio station who had been a volunteer for After Sights, the
reader, basically.
Yeah. The former name is escaping me at the moment.
Oh, Radio Reading Service or Audio Information Network of Colorado.
Yeah, AINC, yeah. And, said they were, hard up for volunteers, and it's a great opportunity to give back. And for me, it was like a no-brainer. This is like right before COVID happened, and so it was a good opportunity. It's like, well, like I love making audio. I've got a great microphone, and this is what I can. This is an easy way to give back. So jump in and just kept going.
Yeah. What was it like for you very first getting started? Because I know you have some production experience and stuff, but reading a newspaper or magazine or any of that is a little bit different. But yeah, what was your first experiences like?
Yeah, I think the first thing I was thinking, I was like, I don't know if they're gonna want me to read. Did like a little audio test. This is when Kat Bradbury was the volunteer coordinator, super sweet woman, and asked for a sample recording and sent that in, and like, I don't know, maybe she's not going to like it, maybe it's not really what they're looking for, and then got this very affirming, kind email back that was like, this is wonderful, great quality, love it, like, thank you so much, let's go. But then at the beginning it was kind of hectic. You're not sure what should I be reading from the news articles, which ones should I be more news focused or kind of like local sports focus. That's kind of how I fell into it, I guess.
Absolutely. And it's something you fall into. I think falling into it is actually like the best way to put it for any new volunteers out there. It's kind of one of those, you just jump in, you read, and hey, if you make a mistake, I mean, you are human, that's just a thing. And we're not gonna, we're just here to help you. We're not gonna harp on you for accidentally,
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure anybody who has listened to any of my recordings can flag 1,000 times where I've mispronounced a word, and probably some pretty embarrassing examples out there, I'm sure.
Well, I haven't seen any myself, but
that's kind.
During the time you've been a volunteer, have you picked up any any soft skills, or anything that you didn't have before that you could pass on to other roles?
Yeah, this seems so elementary, but I think I'm much more acutely aware of grammar, I think, than I ever was. Maybe that's not necessarily the kind of soft skill you're thinking of, but
no, that totally is anything.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
I think kind of like the pacing and the way that you read to people, and sometimes it kind of depends on your mood. You're reading right in the morning or right before you go to bed. That's a different sound right away, right?
Totally.
But trying to read at a pace that makes sense for the way things are written and the way they are intended to be heard. I know I've butchered numerous headlines because of not paying attention to a small comma or something like that. And it totally changes the meaning of the sentence. And so, I'm sure, sometimes I go back and I record that, and other times I think that's close enough. And yeah.
No, absolutely. I get that. I think especially what I've started to realize after being, on the team for, a couple of years is that reading isn't just like reading the content and then talking and then narrating it. It's a whole art. Mm-hmm. And, you got to figure out how do you convey the tone of the article without like putting in your own personal bias or without sounding like a robot, because nobody wants to listen to something that sounds like this. We're not playing Portal,
Right. But, and that's absolutely not my style. So it's hard for me to almost kind of tone that down, I guess, at times.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've had a couple readers. I've had one in particular that her first reading was so enthusiastic and energetic. I'm like, whoa, dude, how much coffee did you drink? Goodness gracious. Right.
Yeah, and I think you could definitely hear like how the person's mood is or what's going on. How's their day going? When you
can
that.
Tell. It's kind of fun, and I think it's also an important aspect of that human element of why we do what we do, and why we don't just go for an AI, a computer text to speech voiceover human read, because there's literally that aspect of you've got a living, breathing human reading a paper to you. That's why we do it. If people have asked why,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and I think too, maybe there's something specific about having a human reading it and the fact that it's local news and how important that is and how much it's really disappeared in the last, I would say 20 years, but I guess it's been going on for longer than that. and really kind of, like the value of local reporting and really what that means to communities, and keeping that human focused and human centric, I guess, is a huge part of that.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, I just need to say this right now for any listeners out there. It was pointed out to me, and I have acknowledged this before, but I say absolutely a lot. So I need to make like a script or something that like makes a noise every time I say that. Because do you ever have that issue when you're on interviews where you have like a repeated word?
Absolutely. I have to say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, but it's not as bad as the yes, no, oh yeah, no, but it's that one. Yeah.
That one's pretty worse. I think that's it's more like, okay, you're just so vague here. What is it? Yes or no? It's a binary.
Yeah, it's just easy to do. Yeah, and you jump into great answer, and then the next answer, great answer. That's a good question. That's a great answer. That's a good question. That's a great answer.
And that's why I've always said like absolutely, because I feel like it's a bit more genuine. It's like indeed, but
yeah. Just anyway, the source page pulled up. Oh, extravagant, fabulous, marvelous.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right? Yeah. just cheat a little bit.
Of course. Well, I've kind of gone off the rails a little bit, but I always like to ask volunteers, but do you have like a little a regimen or a little process that you like to do before you hit record? Kind of like a stretch routine or a relax kind of thing? Like what do you like to do to prepare for recording?
Yeah, I have anxiety. It's like strong. It's all the time. I'm really nervous and anxious right now. I think it's one of those things that like I'll sit down to record and I feel like I'm catching my breath because I'm just trying to like sound normal, and that makes it even, I don't know, it's just hard to like put yourself in that space. So I think the biggest thing is slowing down and having a breath, and obviously, a glass of water is key. Got to have that next to you,
Oh yeah. I'm drinking coffee right now as we're recording this. I think I think having something to, because you can always hit pause if you need to, like having something to drink, to eat really does make a difference, especially,
Yeah, and I think after a while, like there's a like you said, it's a human centric thing. So like I'm a human, and some days I'll have a scratchier voice. Sometimes I'll, a real professional sounds the same all the time, but we can't all be perfect all the time, and so some days just aren't exactly that. And I think I've gotten better with giving myself a little bit more grace to just kind of get on mic and be clear. As long as I can speak the words that are in front of me in a way that can be received appropriately. Everything else is an aside.
Now, speaking of getting on mic, just say this right now. Your mic sounds to me perfect. Like you have no noise floor. It's clear. It's got a nice full body to it. So let's talk about your setup. Can you describe kind of your entire recording setup to me and our listener base?
Now you're speaking dirty to me. Okay.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
this. Yeah.
This is the fun part.
This is great. This is really great. I bounced back and forth with a bunch of microphones. I started out with a Rode Procaster early on, not the USB, the XLR.
Yep.
And at that time, I think I was going into like a Sennheiser. It wasn't even that. It was a Behringer mixing
like a mixer.
board. Yeah.
Yep.
And with effects and all that. And I think after a while you realize you don't really use quite a bit of that. It was several years ago when I like made the very long and hard decision about really getting professional with it, when I decided like this is like I'm doing this full time. This has got to be, an investment, and really splurged and got this mic in front of me, which is the Sennheiser MKH 416. It's like a microphone that's, it's been around forever. It's got a huge, long history of, being and reporting, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's an incredible microphone, and that goes straight into a Mix-Pre 3, which is the smaller version of a huge
big old preamp, basically.
Yeah, amazing preamp, and fancy power for the microphone, and it's the smaller version of this whole line that Sound Devices has, but it's incredible. I love it, and it's super portable. It's super easy to get around with it, and when you throw this shotgun mic on, a handheld, it's It's great. Like it's yeah, like one of my favorite things to do that I don't do nearly enough of is just go out and record, like bugs
Ambiences
crawling
and
across
things.
leaves, yeah, or like the train or traffic or birds chirping. It's hard to find like a truly quiet place to get that one sound that you're looking for. But this is for sure it. I love this microphone.
It's a fantastic microphone. You're speaking my language so much right now. It's not even funny.
What are you using over there?
Well, so believe it or not, this is a Rode Procaster, the XLR variant of the Rode Procaster.
It's a great mic.
It is a great mic. Unfortunately, this room, I'm recording in my office, which is the control room, and I've done some kind of noise dampening here. I've put up a little bit of foam, but foam only lets you go so far,
Yeah.
But there's some weird resonances and some room tone here.
Sure.
That it's really, really fun to EQ out.
Yeah. Oh, and it's a nightmare. That's why you just the investment of the microphone, I know, is like it just makes a big difference. Most people don't think about it, but yeah, if you're really geeking out about it, it's a huge difference.
I'm considering getting probably though a Shure SM58 or probably something like that along those lines, just because I do like that kind of warm woolly sound. But
the next microphone I get is going to be the SMB 57.
SM57? Oh yeah, or SM7B.
7B, yeah, that's what it is. It's just a beautiful microphone. Again, same great sound. It's wonderful, and it's kind of become the quintessential podcast microphone at this point.
It's like the everything mic. Even like Michael Jackson used it as like his vocal mic.
Yeah. Again, long storied history. Yeah.
Just like Sennheiser does have a huge reputation, especially for their headphones. Like Sennheiser's headphones are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Just to answer your question from earlier, yeah. So the Rode Procaster it's just plugged into a Focusrite Scarlett Solo, and I really like this interface.
Awesome setup.
It's a good setup. It doesn't have it has a noise floor, of course, like pretty much anything out there in audio, but I can't hear it, and I can measure it, but it's a very low noise floor. So, it makes it super easy to, get that very nice, super clean audio. It also has like a nice compression feature built into it that you can kind of adjust. I forget what they call it on here. It's a digital button, so I don't know. I can't really see it, but it makes it sound really good. But
that's a really, really great setup.
Absolutely. Now, Windows or Mac in your case, what do you like the most?
I'm a Mac guy, and I don't. It's not like an allegiance to Apple or anything like that. No. I think Apple's a really problematic company.
Of course.
But the simplicity of it, turn it on, it works. I love that.
Same.
Yeah.
That's why I've personally gone with a Mac, because it's plug and play. You plug in your interface and it works.
That's exactly right.
You plug in a MIDI controller and it just works.
Yeah.
You don't have to download drivers and adjust levels and turn off all these annoying gimmicky features and all that. But
yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, you mentioned that you work in audio. So do you mind if I ask like what you specifically do, outside of volunteering in the audio industry?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a great question, Evan.
I'm keeping that in.
Yeah. Good. So I've been doing, a lot of work for, over the last several years, kind of in a different, different varieties, different levels. One was a few years ago, I was working for a company called Mafic, and we were doing more kind of political podcasts. Did a show produced a show called Party of One for them at that time, which was kind of about two-party politics in the United States. Not even going to try to get into any politics, that's fine. But just kind of focusing on a lot of the issues that arise with that. And that is one of the prouder projects that I ever worked on, just because, it was a 6-part series, and it was really, really highly produced, like very fast-paced. We've featured a ton of interviews, talked to some really interesting people, like Nancy Newman, who was the president of the League of Women Voters when they took away the debates from them. So that right there was one of the bigger ones. And then a couple years, I was working for a company that does B2B podcasts, business-to-business podcasts, so really focusing on helping companies launch their own podcasts. And when I separated with them, I launched Jubilaria, Jubilaria, a company with a co-founder of mine. We really trying to focus on working to produce content for companies that do work that matters. So the goal is really to focus on climate change impact work, or social impact, or mental health. Basically, if any company has a real mission-driven focus to what they're doing, like we want to help them expand that brand and become thought leaders in their space by producing the best content we can for them. We're pretty early in the startup of that, so we've got it's a lot more work than glory, I guess, at this moment. But that's what I'm doing these days.
I love it. That is a fantastic mission that you guys have too, especially because it's current issues that we're dealing with in society today. And I won't go down that rabbit hole, but at the same time, you're helping get the information out there and making it possible for people to, or making it possible for these issues to, I don't know how else to word this, have a voice. I don't know. That's kind of, that's a weird way to say it, but a stretch, but you know what I mean? Like,
no, absolutely. I mean, the company I was at before, not to speak ill of anyone, but it was much more focused. Thanks for the permission. It's much more focused on, it doesn't really matter, like profit, like just produce the content. Doesn't matter what the content is. And that's fine. But, we live in a world with a lot of problems. There's a lot of underrepresented groups and communities that really need to have more voice, and or missions that like are just struggling or really need help with kind of having a little bit more face, right, to some of those things. And I think the goal that I really have is not to retire as early as possible or anything like that. It's the desire to get up in the morning and really be excited to go to work.
And the desire to give to your community in a very, very positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Do something that matters.
That's awesome. I love it. May I ask where the name Jubilaria came from? Because that's a cool name.
Thank you. It's, there's a much more eloquent, explanation of it on our website, but it's really about kind of a return to kind of the equalizing of celebration of forgiveness of debts, and an appeal to the feminine, and appeal to this triumphant call of better days to come.
Dude, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That's super cool. Well, I'd be happy to. We'll definitely leave that kind of at the end of the show for sure, for those who want to check it out. And I would definitely strongly encourage people to go check that out. I will be checking it out for sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Of course. Now, before we wrap up this episode here, do you have any questions, comments, or feedback for me, Evan Starnes, or that you'd like to ask Aftersight?
I think the thing with Aftersight that I always want to talk to somebody about, and I never really get a chance to say anything about it, or I haven't really, I guess I haven't taken the initiative to do it, is and I don't know, I'm sure other readers feel the same way, but doing this for over 4 years, and I'm not as, I've missed my fair share of recordings, and life happens, and my sincere apologies to people out there who were counting on it and I wasn't there. It's tough. There's a mental grit that has to happen when you're recording something that means something to someone, but you don't hear the feedback about what it is that they like or don't like, and it's not about praise or anything like that. It's like, are
you doing the right thing?
Did you like those articles? Did you not like those articles? Like, should I be doing more of this? Like, are you upset about the way I butchered the name of like a Native American tribe? Oh my gosh, like, forgive me for that. Like, that's that sort of thing. And so sometimes you feel like you're kind of speaking into the ether, and you just hope that the work you're doing is meaningful, and I don't know. I'm such a personal person, so it's like hard to do that sometimes.
No, I totally get that. And
I will say, Aftersight does an amazing job of continuing to invite volunteers in and to say hello. And I mean, like doing this and meeting you, Evan, is really great. So it's no shame on what Aftersight is doing at all.
well, and I will say that speaking into the ether and recording for as long as you have and your work, this is how you got nominated as Volunteer of the Month and how you got on the Volunteer Spotlight. In fact, the Volunteer of the Month program actually started literally, I think, the year I started as an intern. And it was kind of that, because it was during COVID, and it was kind of just, our way to really specifically show appreciation for volunteers and just, let them know that, hey, your commitment is paying off and you're benefiting a lot of listeners out there in different areas. And, we want to recognize that. So.
Well, it's very sweet, and I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here. Well,
hey, it's an honor to have you as a volunteer. Another thing I do want to mention too is that we are working on we are working on making everything a lot more universal and really trying to give people access to the entirety of like newspapers and magazines. And it's really, the concept is, our grants manager actually coined this term, is information equity. And, so we're trying to figure out, feasibly how do we, do that within like the confines of the broadcast and all that. But what we want to do is we want it so that, volunteers are able to, describe images and they're able to read the paper front to back. They don't have to skip articles and they really, you only have so much time to read. So, I understand when, people need to cut something short, but, we're trying to make it a lot clearer for volunteers as far as just why you read the paper the way it was written and, don't gloss over anything. And even like, at least, acknowledging like the advertisements and stuff in there, because that's stuff that, anybody, any sighted person out there that picks up the paper, that, they see all of that. So we're basically just trying to give, myself and and our entire listener base really, access to the same information. But, it's coming down the pipe. So, it's not something to be alarmed about or worried about. And, we'll have plenty of training and support from Jennifer and all of us here at Aftersight. So.
Yeah. Well, and Jennifer's been amazing. Jennifer's fantastic in her role, and that's clear. Her communication is just spot on.
I'll put in a good word for her, and I really appreciate that.
It's good because I need some grace. I think I owe her a few favors at this point.
No, you don't owe her anything. Honestly, I'd like to say it's personally been an honor having you here on the Volunteer Spotlight. This has been one of the most I feel like open-ended episodes. And that's something I'm actually trying to work on too, because, I want this podcast to be a source of, yes, inspiration, but also just something that, people can enjoy. It's a good way to learn about these, all of our volunteers and really just put emphasis on the fact that you guys aren't just talking heads in front of microphones. You're people with lives, with desires and missions and, and this is the way to get those stories out. And I really appreciate you, talking about, all of the work that you're doing. And in fact, where
That's
can people
incredibly
find...
sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will say that I think that you've got some rock star volunteers here. I mean, people have been doing it over 20 years. I mean, just really incredible people.
Seriously, it blows me away. We've got over 100 people, and they're just every volunteer that I've talked to has just been so dedicated and genuine, and they just want to help their community. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And
I love that.
I'm really happy to be part of it. And
I love that.
It's what keeps me coming back to this desk every single day during, of course.
I love that.
Now, where can people find your organization?
Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn, Gregory Haddock. Love to connect with people there. And our website is jubilaria.com, jubilaria.com. And there's a contact us on there. There's also a short video that talks a little bit about kind of the purpose of the work that we're doing and the goal and the mission. I would. If anybody's even remotely curious, I'd love to hear from you.
That's fantastic. Well, I'll be checking you out for sure.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Of course. Well, thank you so much for being on the Volunteer Spotlight today.
I appreciate that. No, it was a really nice conversation, and you helped me feel right at ease.
That's perfect.
I was anxious getting on this call, and that went away pretty quickly. So thank you, Evan.
I get the nerves, but and it's normal. It's okay.
Yeah. No, and thank you for having me as the volunteer of the month. It's a really sweet and meaningful mention. It is.
That's good. That's what it should be. Well, with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to another episode of the Volunteer Spotlight. Definitely be sure to go check out coloradogivesday.org and definitely help us out here. We've got a lot of really good incentives. We've got a match, and they have power hours that you can donate during, and that'll double your donation. There's just a lot of incentives, and it helps us just continue to fulfill our mission. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to the Volunteer Spotlight. I've been your host, Evan Starnes, and I'll see you all again next month.